All right, guys, what's going on? I wanted to review something with you real quickly here. Um, this is one of the formulas that I use to kind of do a down and dirty analysis of a property, just to see whether or not it's worth spending more time on. One of the rules of thumbs that we use is price per square foot on a storage property. We know we can build a storage property for roughly 30 to 35 a square foot if we're talking about your typical single story mom and pop property and um, with your a small office, maybe in a fence, nothing fancy, not a multi-story or anything like that. So 30 to $35 per square foot plus the cost of land. So that's kind of what we use as a gauge when we're looking to buy existing properties. Wouldn't make sense necessarily to buy a property for say $70 a square foot unless the cost of land is very expensive in the area. And if that were the case, you're also going to expect to see significantly higher rental rates in that area. And clearly, if you can rent a property for considerably more, you can afford to pay more. And that is what this formula allows us to compare very quickly. It's called a gross rent multiplier. And so I'm hoping you can see this spreadsheet here. I'm going to walk you through this real quick and hopefully it makes sense. Now, again, these are rules of thumb. As a rule, it's meant to be broken, but it is a good starting point for you. What I like to look for is a gross rent multiplier of somewhere between 4 and 5. Lower is better. Kind of 5 is my upper limit. I really try to get to 4, but if it's between 4 and 5, I'm at least going to dig a little deeper and see if there's some hidden potential maybe that I can uncover. So here's how the gross rent multiplier works. We've got a property here. I've got the units listed, the number of units in column A, the size of each unit in column B, each unit's square footage, and then the price we get. Based on that, we can calculate the total revenue here in E7 that the property will generate in any given month. Okay? And then we've got our total square footage. So what I'm going to do here is take this monthly revenue and compare it to my square footage, right? So as I just take my square footage divided by the monthly revenue. Oops, I knew I was going to do that backwards to you. I'm sorry. As I take my monthly revenue, the price divided by the square footage, I get a number of 58 cents. Now again, this is monthly revenue. So what I've just calculated is 58 cents per square foot per month. Now when we do the gross rent multiplier, we want to be dealing with an annual revenue. So all I'm going to do is multiply this 58 cents per square foot times 12. Now I know that if this property were fully rented, right, that's why it's called the gross rent multiplier, it would bring in just under $7 per square foot per year. As I mentioned, my rough metric is I want to be at 4 to 5 times that. So $7 using round numbers times 4 would be $28, times 5 would be $35. So I know if I can buy this property somewhere between $28 and $35 per square foot, it's going to have an ROI that is in line with my expectations for an investment. And the real value of this is that it allows you to look at properties and compare properties in different markets. So let's say this math that I just did is in a small town in Florida, okay, or rural market. I can, by looking at the rent that it brings in compared to the price that I can buy it at, and let's say, for example, this property is for sale, listed for sale at $40 a square foot. Well, all right, maybe I can get them from 40 down into my range of 28 to 35. And if there's other favorable elements about this property, I would certainly consider that. If we want to compare this property to, say, a property in St. Louis, Missouri, that's in downtown, that's selling for let's say $60 a square foot as an asking price, well, generically you might say, well, this is a no-brainer. This other property at $35 a square foot is the better deal, or 40 is their asking price, as I mentioned, right? So that's not necessarily true though, because let's pretend for a moment that this property over here is getting, instead of 58 cents per square foot per month, this one is going to be getting, hypothetically, $1 per square foot per month. It equates to $12 per square foot per year. And if I do that times my gross rent multiplier, we're looking at 48 at a gross rent multiplier of 4, $48 per square foot, or gross rent multiplier of 5, we're at $60 a square foot. So this second property, hypothetical property, its asking price is actually a gross rent multiplier of 5. Our other property, we have to get a discount from the asking price down to 35 for it to be within our rough generic 4 to 5 gross rent multiplier. So I know that's a little bit cumbersome. Hopefully it made sense to you. I'm thinking that what I'd like to do is polish this information up a little bit and maybe have two properties that I can compare and really comb through this calculation. But again, all you're doing is taking the annual rent per square foot and seeing how that compares to either the asking price or your purchase price. If you can't offer the full asking price, you're just going to make that comparison. And clearly, the higher the rent is on an annual basis relative to your price per square foot purchase price, the better. And again, 4 to 5 is a healthy range. If you're looking at a property that's, where, let's say your rent is $7 a square foot per year, but the asking price is $70 per square foot, there's a tenfold relationship between rental square footage and purchase price per square foot. And that's clearly not going to be a strong deal. 4 to 5 is the number we're looking for. So hopefully that makes sense. Pop in any questions. I'm happy to elaborate or explain. And if you give me feedback, I can try to make this math a little clearer or present it in a way that maybe you guys can wrap your heads around it a little better. It's not rocket science, but at the same time, I know that numbers can be a little dry and it's easy to get lost. So take that for what it's worth, guys. Hopefully you found that valuable. We will see you again real soon.